Welcome to the Maternal Archives Podcast, a podcast that supports new and expecting parents by checking in with real moms on tough topics through authentic conversations. I'm your host, Ashley, and this is the Diary Series, where moms share a page from their own personal story on tough topics such as solo parenting, parenting through divorce, and healing through postpartum depression. Today, we're discussing solo parenting journey, and I have a guest from Atlanta, Georgia, with 6 beautiful babies, and who's the founder of tech and lifestyle company. Please welcome Shaquinta Milton.
Hi,
Hi.
Ashley. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you. First of all, motherhood is hard, period, but solo parenting is another level of a test of endurance and
Yes.
strength. And so I'm really, really excited to hear your journey and share this with other moms. So we know that you have 6 children. We see your youngest there, your precious little one.
Yes.
How old is your baby?
So the baby is 2. He just turned 2 in November.
Okay.
And then, so I have 21. She's in college. My 17-year-old just left for the Marines, so he's in boot camp. And then I have a 15-year-old, 13-year-old, and a 10-year-old.
Wow.
No.
And do you want to give us a little bit of background on your parenting journey and becoming a solo parent?
Yeah, so I was married and we got a divorce, and so that's kind of the start of that. So in 2017, I left California and came to Georgia with the kids because I knew if I had stayed that I was never going to leave the relationship. I was never going to leave the marriage. I was just going to stay and be complacent. And it's really easy to do that when you're a military wife, which I was at the time.
Okay.
So there was a lot of solo parenting involved in that anyway. And not just because of the deployments, but just because like even when he was home, it was just still all on me. And that just kind of became the life. And so there was just a lot of other things that happened in our marriage, and I was just like, yeah, girl, you gotta go. I decided in 2016. Okay, mommy doesn't need you to tell her story. So I decided in 2016 that I was gonna leave. And so, girl, for a year, I stacked my money. Like I went and worked because I was working just like from in the house because I had a life coaching practice.
Okay.
And I was like, all right, I need to make some more money. So I went and started working at Target, and I became a manager there.
Okay.
And I saved my money for an entire year. I did not
Yeah.
spend a dime of it because I was like, we gotta.
Wow.
And so then in 2017, packed up my van and a U-Haul hitch, and we drove to Georgia for a fresh
Wow.
start. Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah. And we've been here ever since. So it's such a journey. Like when you get to the point where it's like you're like, now I know for sure I'm a solo parent, right? Like obviously, like
Yeah.
I was doing it in a marriage, but it's like now it's like, yeah, it's just the kids and like this is it. This is all we got. We got to figure it out. And so that's what we did.
So can you give me a normal weekday rundown? Like what's the routine on a regular weekday? Everybody's school and work, and what's that look like for you?
So currently I homeschool 2 of my children. A high schooler who's 15, I homeschool him, and then I homeschool my 13-year-old who's in middle school. So basically, typically, I'm up at 4:30 because I was like, I have to have some time by
Yeah.
myself. So I'm up at 4:30 and I have a couple of hours for myself. So I can work out, so I can pray, so I can journal, and I can spend time with them. Sometimes, like I've really just been getting back into the 4:30 because I did it consistently when I just had 5 kids. But like the baby came, and it was my first baby after 35. So, girl, that was rough. So I'm just kind of like getting back into that routine of waking up really early, having my time. So then that way, when I wake the kids up, like I'm full. Like I'm ready to love on them. I'm ready to pump them up with their affirmations and stuff for the day.
Nice.
My 10-year-old still goes to school, so I take her to school. And then everyone else gets up, starts their routine. My daughter goes to college, so she goes to her classes, or either she's at home because she has some remote classes too. And then I have the baby, and so then it's like work. Like, and I'm working and being
Yeah.
with the baby and homeschooling. So it's like a full day. Like, it's nonstop every day.
Yeah. Gosh, I just think about you and a lot of other moms that I've known over the years, solo parenting, some women that are so near and dear to my heart and their journeys, and thinking like, show me your excuse and there's a mom who's found a way, and that's just what I think of when I think about all of these amazing moms and yourself, on your
Yeah.
journey. So now that you're in Atlanta, and I'm not sure if you what type of support you had in San Diego, but what would you say your support system looks like now, if you have any at all?
I mean, it's like a yes and no question because I
Uh-huh.
believe. So I'm the oldest of three. My mom was also a single mom. So when you're the oldest and like you're used to watching after your brother and sister, there's no one to turn to, right? Because my mom has to work and like I was in charge of my brother and my sister. And so that's kind of transpired into my life, right? Because it wasn't, and I got pregnant with my daughter at 18. It wasn't a happy occasion with my mom. So I kind of developed at 18, like, I have to figure this out, right?
Yeah.
There have been pockets of time when you have support, but for the most part, it's literally the kids and it's just been like that. Um, Now within like the past couple of years, like my brother helps out a lot, like with the boys, like kind
Yeah.
of coming in, like talking to his nephews and things. And so I'm really grateful for that. And so I have my sisters, like, everyone's starting to show up a little bit more.
Yeah.
But that's been something that's kind of new, right? So still even learning how to accept support when you never really had it or you were turned down has been a
Yeah.
hard thing. So it's literally the kids and I. But like lately, like my family has been like, wow, because I show up for everyone else. And so now I'm beginning to have like more friends and more family that are kind of like, hey, like I can support you. So I'm really appreciative of that.
That's great. I mean, I'm the oldest of three sisters, so I definitely
Hmm.
understand, like, when you're the oldest, there's a different level of expectation. Certainly, absolutely. And then I think it's interesting you mentioned, allowing help, right? And I feel like it's almost one of those
Hmm.
things that it's not really something that every mom is programmed with, because if you're used to, oh, it's just me, or it's just,
Yeah.
me and my little ones, then understanding how to allow help when it comes our way is also kind of hard too. Um,
Yes. Mhm.
is there something you could maybe say, like, if there's a mom who's maybe finding some help, but she's struggling with allowing it to take place?
Yeah. So one of the first things I did to allow help was for me to hire a housekeeper to come. That was the
Amen.
first part of like telling myself that like I don't have to do it all. So that part, and then also getting like better at delegating chores to my kids because I wasn't good with that at first because I was like trying to overcompensate because now here we are, the whole life had to change. And so I would just, like always have their rooms and stuff clean when they came home from school. So one, allowing myself to hire help, and then to delegate help. And then when it was like, if my brother is like, hey, can I take the boys with me? Or hey, can he ride with me out of town here? Whereas
Well,
in the past I would have been like, heck no. But now it's kind of like, yeah, like he can go, you know what I mean? And so just if it's trusted people, you just kind of have to say, you know what, like, God, I really appreciate this support, especially if it's genuine support. And you just really allow them to step in because it's going to be beneficial for you and your kids in the right
this
to
too.
be able to have like that additional support and additional help, especially for me with my boys by having a male figure, you know what I mean, come in and help them. And so, like I said, having my brother, having my cousin now, and having my sisters and go like, hey, like checking on them and talking to them, and so now they have an outlet outside of me. So if it's really genuine support, just allow it. It's gonna be hard at first, but like in the end, you're gonna look back and be like, whew, glad I didn't have to have that talk with the boys. You know what I mean? Because someone else begins to step in and help
Yeah.
you. And a lot of times people don't know what you need. And sometimes you can't even articulate it. So if you have like those trusted people, you can say, hey, I know I need support. I just can't articulate it right now. So
Right.
please don't stop asking me how you can help me. You know
That's
what
a
I
really, yeah,
mean?
that's a great way to say it, because it's like, I think when I had my two little ones back to back, and sometimes I would have friends who aren't moms yet but would reach out and say,
Hmm.
how can I help? Tell me how I can help. And I wasn't even sure what that role would look like for my
Yeah.
closest friends, and I was like, you know what? I appreciate it. And when let me get back to you on it. When I figure it out, I'll let you know, because it was also new for me to figure out what would my friends be able to do. How
Exactly.
can they? And you know
Yeah.
what? Then it turned into like, yeah, I forgot something at Target, and do you mind swinging by on your way over and just
Yeah.
grabbing my drive up order that I had to redo, things like that.
Hmm.
But just
Hmm.
allowing that. It is kind of like one of those things, like flexibility, just learning to allow help sometimes when we actually have it. So I had somebody tell
Right.
me once, the challenging goals that we have in life are not attainable because we don't have time, but
Hmm.
they're really about making intentional time or protecting the time that you have. How do you feel that you've been able to balance your own self-care and personal wellness as a mom?
Yeah. I'm really like, when I say I'm really good at that, I'm really good at that. If it's sitting in a car by myself for an hour, like sometimes, like I used to feel guilty when my kids would be like, "Oh, can I ride with you to the store?" And I'm like, "Nope," because you know what I'm about to do? I'm about to get some food, enjoy it by myself, sit in this car outside of Target for about 30 minutes, and then I'm gonna walk around Target for another 30 to 45 minutes,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna drive home and I'm gonna sit outside for another 20
You know,
minutes.
that car therapy really just does it sometimes.
It really does. And like even like my gym time is really important to me. Solo walks. And it's just like really putting that in the forefront of my kid's brain, like mommy needs her time too. Right? Like I love spending time with you, but in order for me to be a better human, like I need that time. So I got really good at prioritizing myself, like when I became like a full-time single parent, because I was like, I want to show up better for myself first and show up for my children. And in order for me to do that, I need some time to decompress. So I'm not at the space where I need like a weekend or anything like that, but just a couple of hours each day to start my day by myself and end
Yeah.
my day by myself. That's really all I need.
Just like these pockets to recharge. And I think
Yes.
that's what I've like told people around me is like, I don't maybe need you to, babysit for like 24 hours. I don't even need that. I just really need to kind of like sit there, go for a nice drive or something. Is also figuring out, how can I feel better, because I am drained, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
that's
And it's
and,
like,
and the guilt is, but how do I also like say, hey, guilt, I'm gonna drop you off at the corner on my way to the beach to
hmm,
relax?
yes. And like, I didn't even know that like overstimulation was a thing until I had my baby boy. So
Oh,
like when I was pregnant with him, well, she was 8 at the time, well, almost 8. She would like take a nap with me every day and lay on me and stuff, like and talk to the baby and all the things. Well, after he was born, especially because I'm also a breastfeeding mom, she
mm,
would still want to cuddle and stuff quite a bit, like the same. And then
yeah,
I was starting to realize like I was feeling overwhelmed. And so like I was like, well, I'm overstimulated because I'm breastfeeding him and I'm holding him and I'm doing all the things. And so
yeah,
like now I was my other children was like, oh, I need a hug or because my kids are affectionate. And I was like, oh my God, like this is a lot. So
yeah,
just kind of learning how to calm my nervous system in that way, but also give them the love that they need too, has also been something I've had to learn in this season.
yes. One of my kids is much more like affectionate or wants to
Hmm.
hug all the time. And I remember when I was in a period of time where my husband and I didn't have our kids, right? We were trying to conceive, and then we had a loss.
Hmm.
And I'm like, you know what? Once we got out of that, I'm like, no, give me all the snuggles, all the little shoes,
Yeah.
all that. I don't care how many little socks are everywhere. I'd rather see that than not, you know?
Yeah.
But it's also like I didn't understand either, like feeling overstimulated too until I became a mom and was like, why do I feel like I just can't even be touched for like, nobody even poked me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized that, yeah, it's just this constant like take from me. And that's why I
Yeah.
explained to like my husband, like, take them in the backyard, please. Just 20 minutes. I love them, but just let them ride their bikes. Let me, not be touched or,
Yeah.
hear my name for 20 minutes. But yeah, if you think back to a season where, maybe it wasn't a season where doors were opening perhaps, but maybe a season
Mm-hmm.
where you were just planting seed after seed and you're finding that you're still waiting for that harvest to come, right? Which many of us maybe are in right now. And what season kind of stands out to you that you could maybe tell us about for you and your motherhood journey?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so in 2017, I moved here and I was just, I had my savings. I was just trying to figure out what I was going to do. But I know God had put entrepreneurship on me like a long time ago. But immediately I went, well, not immediately, but a few months, I went and got a job at UPS and I was a supervisor there. So not only was I working at UPS at night, but I was also working at the Target here during the day. So I would drop my kids off.
Wow.
And then I would work at Target during the day. And then I would, get my kids in the evening time, like spend some time with them, put them to bed, and then I would go to UPS at night. And then when I stopped doing Target, I would deliver Uber Eats with my kids in the car and then like do Uber Eats. And then I would take them home, have dinner with them, and do all the things. And then I would go to UPS at night. And
Wow.
then after some point in time, like I was even doing like Lyft on the weekends because I was like, God, like something gotta give. Now in the middle of all of this, I started my business up again. So then I'm like doing all this working and servicing clients. And I was like, God, like something gotta give because I wanted to spend more time with my kids.
Yeah.
And so it was a really, really hard season that lasted for about 2 years of me just like working hard, working hard. And so I used to dedicate like Fridays. I would not work because I worked Sunday through Thursday at UPS. And so Fridays I wouldn't work. That was family time. I would take them to the drive-in movies, or we'll be movie night or pizza night or whatever. I always had those moments always with my kids. But it was a really, really hard season of just like constantly working,
Yeah.
constantly like, okay, God, like what's next? What's gonna happen?
Mm.
And then finally in 2020, my business started to pay me more than UPS was paying me. And so I was able to leave UPS and I've been a full-time entrepreneur ever since 2020.
Wow.
And so while that was a really hard season for me, it was well worth it. Like it really, really was. And it's like, but my kids were still so happy. I'm over here struggling. You know what I mean? Like, and they were just like, oh, my girl, oh, it's Saturday, it's movie night, it's pizza night. Like, and that gave me like so much joy every time like I would go out to work or whatever. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm doing this for a bigger purpose. I'm doing this for a bigger purpose. And so now finally here we are. And so like I said, I'm going into my fourth year of full time entrepreneurship and even going through a shift in that as well, like shifting to something else. But God is faithful. So we're in another season where it's like I have to plant a lot of seeds, I have to do the work. But the main thing was I just wanted to make sure that my children were taken care of because
Yeah.
not everyone that becomes a single parent has not only the physical support or the financial support from their partner. And so when you get into that situation, you know that like your kids are all you got. So that's just that was that season. And so it was rough, but we made it.
If you could go back, is there something that you would tell yourself that, after now that you've made it through?
Yeah, I would say that God has so much for you on the other side.
Mm.
And I would also tell myself not to be so hard on myself.
Grace, right? A little,
Yeah,
little
give
grace
myself
for
way
ourselves.
more grace. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Is there something that you want your kids to remember from that time about you?
I love them and I still showed up. I want them to remember that it never matters. If I was on 2 hours of sleep, I never missed a pool day in the summer. I want them to remember that I was there. Like when mommy came home, she didn't go in the room and close the door and like shoo us away. Like mommy was there.
And it's wonderful that now that trying time is certainly your testimony right now, like for other moms. So
Yeah,
I love it.
thank
But
you.
in 20 to 30 years from now, what's one
Hmm.
thing that you want your parents to remember, or maybe remember once they become a parent?
Oh, I want them to remember that your children are human too.
Mm,
And I think that's one of the things that I was able to learn. Like as I've been like reparenting myself, that's something that I was learning is that you can listen to them. You can ask them how they're feeling. Like you can make a decision and you can say like, no, you can't go to that party, and allow them to say why, and to tell them and to get them to understand like why they can't do this. I
yeah.
think that's really important for them to remember when they're raising their children, that they have feelings. They do get angry. They do get sad. And so a temper tantrum may be inconvenient, but they don't know how to channel those feelings yet. And they're human and they're just trying to figure it out just like us.
And
And
be
so that's
heard
what
just like us. Yeah.
yep. I want them to always remember that about their kids. Because it was something that I had to learn in the process of parenting because I didn't see that growing up, right? Like, you're supposed to be quiet, like, do what I say. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Like, you don't ask questions, right? It was considered disrespectful. Um, and so I think that I want them to always listen to their children and to see them as human beings and not just a child um, that you just dress up. You know what I mean?
The roadmap or initial stepping stones for that person that, I know God's already destined them to be whoever they've created them to be, but also like
Mm-hmm.
those initial stepping stones for maybe what they're going to kind of put forth to others later. And
Yep.
and also, yeah, remembering that like this tantrum is echoing through the hall or through the aisles of Target right now.
Yeah.
However, they just, but they just really can't process. And
Yeah.
that's what I've had to like literally, my husband laughs at me, but I'll coach myself out loud like, okay, they don't know how to handle this right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they're
Mm-hmm.
screaming, but it's going to end in like 2 minutes. It's going to end. It's going to end.
Yep.
Just like,
Yep. Yeah.
listen, this is what gets me through,
Telling you, I just have to be like, you know what? Like, they may be angry. First of all, like they're growing so quickly. Their brain is
Gosh.
developing at such a rapid pace.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I'm
Mhm.
throwing this tantrum because I do not know how to tell you that I'm tired, that I'm hungry, that
Yeah.
I'm tired of walking down the aisles of Target, mom. Like I hadn't gotten to that age where I enjoy it yet. But they don't, because like I noticed that even with my 2-year-old, and he was like 1.5. We'll be in a store and he just gets flustered. It just started getting frustrated. And then like as soon as we walk out and get in a car, he's like in his seat, like, like I was ready to go. So just
Yeah.
just learning that, and I want everyone to know that for sure. Like I for sure want my kids to know that. Like listen to them, and just know that they're human and pay attention to their mannerisms for sure.
Now, if there was something you could tell another mom who maybe has just started their solo parenting era or is
Hmm.
unexpectedly being shifted that way, right? Maybe they either lost someone or someone's just decided to, to leave a relationship and now they are the only person for their child or their children. What's one thing that maybe you could say to that mom right now?
I want her to know that first and foremost that your children love you and you're doing a great job. That's the first thing. I want you to give yourself grace, and I want you to know that you got it. Because I think a lot of times what happens is you feel guilty for having to leave that situation for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I want them to not feel guilty. I want you to give yourself grace. And I want you to understand that when I say you got it, you got it. And there is sunshine and there is a great life and there's so much joy on the other side. Like once you get through the motions and you're like, okay, it's us. There is so much joy over there. There's so much peace over there. And a lot of times, like what you'll realize is that your children will begin to thrive in a new space, in a new environment once mom is happy. You are the nucleus of your home. So continue to work on your joy, continue to work on your peace, and it's going to transpire.
Wonderful. Wonderful. What's kept you going? What's been your anchor of hope at times when, you didn't know the answer? You went to sleep and didn't know what the next day was going to look like.
Yeah. After crying in the shower,
Right.
it's literally my faith. It's literally my faith. Like God has like spoken to me on so many different occasions, whether I listened or not in that moment, but he has always given me a sense of peace. And he has literally been my provider throughout all of this. Because there was a time when I was just like, I don't know how I'm going to be able to do this. I don't know how that's going to work. But my kids never missed a meal. They were never in the dark. They always dressed nice. And they had everything that they needed materialistic wise. But the most important thing was that they had me at peace because God had given me a peace. So that peace that God had bestowed upon me, I was able to impart that into my children. So even beyond them, God providing for us like everything that we needed, over and beyond, the fact that He had gave me such a peace that I was able to give my children is what has sustained me all these years.
That peace beyond our understanding, right?
Yes,
That we don't
yes.
even know how we're in peace, but it's just that's exactly where it comes from. I just want to thank you again because not only are you a solo parent, mom of 6 wonderful children, and one right there with that is just like
Right.
giving us the best, like background aesthetic right now, but also you're launching a tech company?
Yes, I am. So like I am transitioning from my project management agency
Mm-hmm.
and starting a tech company. It's something I've been working on for quite some time. And so yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Awesome.
I'm like super excited about it. But I don't want to say too much yet, but
Okay.
it'll definitely be something that you will see in quarter 2 of this year. But yeah, I'm launching a tech
Exciting.
company. So I'm super excited. And I'm excited because I am literally building generational wealth for my children. In addition to that, I'm also showing them that no matter what, like you can achieve your dreams. It doesn't matter like what you faced or what you've gone through. And I also want them to see that their mom did exactly what she wanted to do. Like I want to live my life to the fullest. I want to achieve my dreams and I'm going to be happy while I'm doing it. So yeah,
Awesome.
I'm excited because like the what I'm developing is literally for moms.
Oh my
So
gosh, I'm even more
yeah,
excited then.
yeah, so I'm really excited about it because my passion is for busy moms. We're busy. We got a lot of things going on, and I have developed something that will be able to help moms in that area. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to hear more about it and I look forward
Yay.
to seeing what it's all about. But thank you again so much. Take care. Have a good one.
Thank you so much for sharing your time with me today. And if you feel called to share today's topic with someone, please do. Until next time, I'm your host, Ashley, and thank you so much for listening to Maternal Archives. Take care.